This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 379 for the week of April 12th, 2015. What is up? Hey, and welcome to Kanzenshuu,
the podcast,
an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site.
Kanzenshuu.
That is right. We cover anything and everything Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening, a little bit of the entertaining. I'm happy to welcome back to the show Chris Kirbopher.
Hey now, what insignificant little insects you all are here at Kanzenshuu.
Yeah, thanks for all that.
You're welcome. Yeah, wonderful. To anybody who listened to the wonderful April Fool's episode this year, I felt it was appropriate, and Mike let me indulge myself again. So thank you, Mike, for that.
It got even better when I put the music in. It took it to a whole new level. It ascended
a whole new level. We ascended to the next level of super podcast.
So, thank you, Chris. It's just Chris and me. My name is Mike VegettoEX, and here we are yet again, another week on the podcast here at Kanzenshuu. Last time on the show, Julian and I did a full spoilerific review of Dragon Ball Z Fukkatsu no F, Revival of F, Resurrection F. This time here on the show, after the Japanese preview screening, and now with the American, I wouldn't call it a preview screening, it was more like a premiere months ahead of what will likely be another short, sorta, kind of something theatrical run for the movie. I don't know, what would you call this event? It's coming out, right?
Well, I mean, they identified it as a world premiere, right. I guess, because it was...
but still.
Yeah, whether that's an accurate description or not is kind of up for debate. But either way, they treated it very much. I mean, all the Japanese representatives and everybody who were there treated it very much like this is a big thing. We're really, really like making this into it. And the fact that like they chose to have it be shown in America with that sort of big deal event was pretty surprising. And it was quite the event, and we're gonna get into the details of it, but yes, it was definitely a big official awesome thing that Toei was all over for sure.
Very nice. That will be our topic this week. The topic will be primarily the event, but then because last week was kind of a spoilerific review, I think what we'll try to do this episode is do a non-spoiler, quasi-shorter review of the film, just some thoughts on it, because it will be coming this summer, English dubbed, to North American theaters. So that's what's on tap for this episode. It's just Chris and I, we're cruising along. We got some news. Let's talk some news. So, I mean, the biggest news really was kind of the premiere over there in LA.
I mean, it was kind of a big deal. I don't know if you heard about it.
It was a thing. We will get to that. That will be the topic portion of our show coming shortly after the news here. But in terms of other Fukkatsu no F, Revival of F, Resurrection F, I'm just going to keep saying the three titles in a row every time now because I don't know what to commit to.
The Frieza movie, the new one.
If you haven't heard that, I've actually been saying and typing that a lot lately, so I can avoid that entirely.
I use new Frieza movie in the tags of all those of you who don't know, I've been doing a lot of vlogs about DBZ related stuff, and all of them have new Frieza movie in the tags because in case people don't know what the fuck to actually call it.
I've been doing the same thing, just listing them all. Yeah. Anyway, so we have cover art, and actually just today, a preview video for the Yamamuro Clover Z CD single for Vow of Z, which is the ending theme to the new movie. The cover art is two variations. One is the group members drawn in Dragon Ball style, so everyone's got a little bit different of an outfit, and the other is all five of them dressed up as Frieza in a very nice Frieza pose. And then, Chris, did you check out the preview video for the CD single today?
I did. I'll be honest. I agree with Julian's sentiment about how it's not quite the most inappropriate song. I mean, we've had weirder, like more poppy, cutesy wootsy, what the hell kind of song. It's a very weird song. Like the composition is like all over the place, but I do love the cover art, and I do love the video looks really interesting. They really went out of their way to make a lot of fun little references to the different moves and the different outfits and things. It's like, oh, okay, like whoever directed this music video, they know their stuff when it comes to DBZ. So, props
for sure. And it actually relates to the show, as opposed to, you think back to Rule by Ayumi Hamasaki for Dragon Ball Evolution. There's no Dragon Ball references in there at all. Kokoro no Hane, Wings of the Heart by Team Dragon from AKB48, which is really the most cutesy we've ever had. Music video for that was not Dragon Ball at all, and in fact was a play on a movie. Go check out our review of that CD single for how bizarre that movie is. Basically just them doing Brazil. And then we get this, which is full-on Dragon Ball, so I'm kind of excited for it. I do have the special edition with the Blu-ray pre-ordered, so I'll be getting that in. But we got cover art, we got full details on it. We know it's going to have a cover of Head Chala on it as well, which was not in the movie, but slapping that on there, so that's kind of all right.
Yeah, I gotta say, too, I mean, reminds me of, I think one of the very earliest podcast episodes you guys ever did with Scott Melzer talking about Toriyama draws hot women. I know that Toriyama didn't draw the illustration for this, but I'm always reminded with the rare times we get female characters in the Dragon Ball art style. They're goddamn adorable.
They are adorable.
I do like the Momoiro, I guess the Sailor Guardian quintet. In the DBZ style with the geese and everything. It's super cute.
They're wacky chicks, so I think it works well here.
For sure.
So we also got the full track listing for the soundtrack, which is coming just about a week later. I hate it when they do this because I want to get it as soon as possible, so that means I can't combine my orders, so I just have CDs coming a week apart from each other, which is the dumbest thing, but they got me. So we have a full soundtrack for the CD. We can tell you that a couple of these tracks, like the Pilaf Gang, these are just from Battle of Gods. There's only a couple there. I think it's 3 total that are taken from Battle of Gods. The rest is all new stuff. We'll talk about the movie a little bit, and I want to get your thoughts on the music too. But for now, just in the news here, we do have the track listing. There is no version of F on the movie soundtrack, so if you're looking for that, you do need to go back and pick up a Maximum the Hormone CD. And this is something I didn't realize right away because I was actually a little delayed in picking up their full-length album. I knew that F was going to be, initially was on just a 3-track CD. They called it a double A-side single, and then it had a 3rd track. And then they put out a full length, which combined some of their EP stuff and some new stuff. They actually re-recorded F for the full length. It's not just literally the exact same thing from the EP. So the version that's used in the movie is the version from the album. So there's actually 2 versions of F that are out there. So maybe you want to grab both. I don't know.
I didn't even know that. I kind of want to hear the other version of it then, actually.
They're extremely similar, and the easiest thing to pick them apart is the EP version starts out with the 3 cymbal crashes. It goes dun 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 dun, whereas the album version just gets right into the lyrics. So that's how you can tell the difference between them.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, we got cover art. It's the same shot of Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza, and we have a full track listing that is up on the site. Thanks to Heath for keeping up on music. So next up, more revival of F stuff. We got finally a nice clean shot of the cover for what will be one of the bonus items if you attend the movie in Japan. This is the Jump Comics Godliest Edition, Volume F, which we heard about quite a few weeks ago, but this is the first time we're getting a real good glimpse at it. It's a play on the cover of Tankobon, the collected edition of the manga, Volume 41, and more specifically, the reprinted edition when they did a new reprint of they've been in print consistently. Dragon Ball's actually never been out of print in Japan, but at some point they decided to freshen up the covers. As opposed to Dragon Ball written out, we have this neon green DB, so they're using that style. So we've got the cover art there. It does spoil a couple forms, but it's news. Gotta cover it. There it is. You a little jealous you can't get this stuff over here in North America?
Yeah, I mean, well, mainly just because I'm interested in some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. I was really intrigued about. Thankfully, you guys covered the grand majority of it for Battle of Gods, but
yeah.
I guess I can't be too jealous because it's like, well, it's not like I'm going to be able to read it in the first place.
That's true. And you have us to tell you what it says.
But anytime there's new, Toriyama artwork mixed in there, like the stuff on the cover with the little spoilers and stuff, looks really nice. So that was cool to see that.
Well, that's the thing. This is Toriyama stuff, like the script of the film, his sketches, that kind of stuff. So I'm sending Julian back to the theater. He might not even see the movie again. It might be his 3rd or even 4th time seeing the movie. I'm like, get me the damn book. That's how I run things here at Kanzenshuu. I send people back to the movies. And with that, I guess we have to wrap it up with the obligatory Dragon Ball video game news. Xenoverse is really what's going on right now. Did pretty well yet again this last month, March 2015, over on the PlayStation Network. The PlayStation blog always puts up what the best sellers are each month. Xenoverse came in at number 5 and number 12 on the PS4 and PS3, respectively, and its DLC is actually doing well. In terms of add-ons for PS4, the Season Pass was the number 4 add-on for the PS4 this last month, and just the first DLC pack itself, that 1/3 of it came in at number 7. So Xenoverse is doing pretty well. I know you were previewing in your news segment what some of Pack 2 stuff is going to be. I believe that's actually due out this coming week, so tomorrow as we're recording it. So I'm kind of looking forward to playing around with Mira and Toa. I don't care so much about the evil dragons, but Mira should be pretty fun.
I do have a little bit of an attachment to 3 and 4 star dragons, because those are some of the first GT episodes that I ever got to see. I had a crappy bootleg tape of those from many years ago, and there's some fun characters and stuff. And I mean, I couldn't give as much of a shit about Super 17 or Baby or whatever, but the dragons I have a little bit of attachment to. By the way,
yes.
I gotta say, because I know every news site in fucking town has covered this already, but I feel because we know the man, we should give a little shout out to a certain friend of ours that made it into the English version.
Yeah, we talked about it before the game came out, but I feel like everyone who's playing the game in English is probably choosing this voice.
Well, actually, no. To be fair, we'll get to that after, because I have some stuff about that. But what we're talking about, of course, is our friend Kurt Arnott, also known as Takahata 101 of Team 4 Star. Got to be, I believe, the 7th or 8th, one of the two.
I was going to say
customizable
6.
Voices.
I'm not sure.
Oh, maybe it is 6. It's okay. Yeah, it's one of those. Of the 10 different male customizable voices in Dragon Ball's universe, and in particular, he got to use the infamous Ghost Nappa voice for that, which was just goddamn hilarious. I gotta say, in addition to that too, props to Sabbath, because I don't know who all of the Japanese ones were. I'm sure they might have had some clever references and things in there, but for the male and female voices on the English side, they actually had quite a few interesting, other kind of popular folks that have been doing a lot of stuff at Funimation. They had some other YouTube celebrity guys. One of the male ones, I think, is an actual kid who's a Dallas improv YouTube celebrity or something.
That's cool.
Two friends of mine, Micah Solusad and Afia Yu, both got to be some of the male ones. And I kind of liked that they had a really solid, good variation of all these different things you could pick from for all of it, to really make it you can absolutely customize the crap out of this character and make it whatever you want to be, and having nice little references and nods to other bits of Dragon Ball fandom and anime fandom. It's that's pretty impressive. I do wonder about, on the Japanese side, if maybe they have people like Mamoru Miyano or people like that, more popular quote unquote seiyuu kind of mixed in there or something.
Oh, I looked at the cast and I can't say I recognize anyone, but then also along with that, it's all played completely straight in Japanese. There's no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do know that the one that Taka got to play was instructed this is a joke voice, so you can do whatever, and they took the opportunity of, we know what to do with this today. Yeah. So that turned out good. But so props to Taka, props to Sabbath for making that one happen, and I'm sure all English-speaking Dragon Ball Z fans would be very happy about that. Oh, actually, sorry. One I'm noticing, because this is just cool. Nobuyuki Hiyama is one of the male Japanese customizable voices, and Mike, I'm sure you probably know who he is. But for those who don't, he's he's the most prominent Link from Legend of Zelda. He's in 7 million video games. He's in lots and lots and lots of anime series. He's a goddamn legend. So that's a cool little one they threw in there for sure.
I gotta go back to the list. I can't even remember which one I chose. I mean, you rarely hear them speak, and I have a Frieza character who is primarily melee based, so I don't even really get special attacks that are yelled out. So it's kind of silent when I play Xenoverse.
Well, that's okay. Now that just makes your character extra cool, because they barely have anything to say.
I suppose so. And then wrapping up news, it's spoiler news, which actually we hadn't covered as early as everyone else. This is kind of inside baseball, behind the scenes stuff. But when it's magazine based news, we generally don't update with it until we can buy the magazine ourselves and actually do all the fact checking on things. So that's why you saw it elsewhere and you hadn't seen it on Kanzenshuu yet. I'm of course talking about new form stuff in the movie and is also coming to Extreme Butoden on 3DS. So we're not actually going to really cover it here on the podcast. You've probably heard everything you need to know about what you expect it would probably be. It's in the movie and it's going to be in the game. And that's the news. So this hereby ends our news segment. And we shall now transfer to our topic segment, which for this episode will remain a mostly, probably, hopefully, entirely spoiler-free on the new movie, despite us talking about the new movie. So, Chris, the film was screened in LA. It's another red carpet premiere that Funimation rolled out. I'm not entirely sure how quite red carpety it really was. More like we're throwing ourselves a party, and if other people come, great. I think Battle of Gods did a little better in that respect in terms of maybe celebrities showing up. I didn't see any celebrity invites or photos or anything from this one. Did there seem like it was just the Japanese cast were the celebrities?
Well, obviously the only Japanese cast member they had there was Masako Nozawa, of course. There were actually quite a few other, to my surprise, some other dub actors that flew out. I guess probably just to go see the movie.
Yeah.
Who were there that weren't announced on the page. And they had, of course, the Yamamuro, the animation director, and the heads of Toei Animation and Shueisha were both there.
Yeah, that wasn't announced ahead of time. And here they are. Whoa, this is a big thing.
Yeah, there were some. I think there were some film celebrities that were kind of there. I think there were two that they looked pretty enough to be them, and they seemed kind of chill, but I didn't recognize them, so I just kind of talked with them when we were in line to get drinks or something, I think briefly. But they did have some people there, but that wasn't really the focus. I don't think that they made it as big of a deal out of that part of it than just the people associated directly with the
product.
Good. Which, I mean,
that's
honestly,
appropriate.
I mean, I could talk about that for ages. It's a whole nother story. But I mean, I prefer to have the focus be on the people that really work hard on these movies and, deserve the real credit anyway. So, I mean...
Yeah, if you have Nozawa and Yamamuro there, don't parade Soulja Boy out and pretend that's a thing.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I mean, you've probably seen from some of the panels at Animazement or whatever. I mean, Sean Schemmel is so adorably, respectful to Masako Nozawa. I believe there was... I think it was one of the things that they had when they were inside of the theater talking just beforehand. But when Masako Nozawa was saying something about oh, everybody needs to see this, and then Schemmel's next comment after that, he wouldn't even really I'm going to take the spotlight now. He'd just be what Goku said. Literally, he just pointed to Masako Nozawa, what Goku said.
Yeah. All right, so tell us about the day a little bit. So there's a bunch of fan stuff ahead of time, and I guess we can say going up with this podcast episode, our buddy Ryan, him and Josh also went. Ryan put together a highlights reel. It's kind of almost the whole pre-event, and then some of the red carpet going-ins things. So you can actually watch a good portion of this. But they did some giveaways and trivia and get the crowd riled up, ready to go in. So what was the atmosphere around there, and what kind of stuff were they doing for y'all?
It's kind of like what you described before. It actually did kind of feel like a big party, but it wasn't oh, this is a lame party that not a lot of cool people went to. It was just it was a nice, fun, upbeat atmosphere. They had Justin Rojas, who's one of the kind of goes to every convention every single goddamn weekend guys at Funimation.
He's a marketing guy. He does what I do.
Yeah. He was kind of curating the majority of the event, and Johnny on Bosch, which was funny because I swear to God I thought, are they trying to say that he's going to be in the movie? Which, I mean,
yeah, it was really weird.
I would not be surprised. I think the reason he was there is just because, okay, he's here already. He's an anime icon. He's also kind of a celebrity because of his film work and Power Rangers and stuff like that.
Can I interject something? And it's kind of mean,
sure,
but I think it's kind of funny at the same time. I think they needed a cute, recognizable guy that can pronounce Japanese names and not embarrass them.
Well, I mean, for the most part, from the stuff that I've seen at their industry panels, most of their people seem to know how to do this sort of stuff for the most part. So, I mean, I think that Johnny wasn't appropriate. And you know what? For a guy who, and with no offense to him, because I mean, not everybody is into this. I've seen him be kind of a more jaded sort of convention guest, and he's not always super enthusiastic into this stuff. He actually carried himself quite well. He seemed like he was genuinely into it and,
totally
being engaging and stuff. Yeah, so he was cool. I was like, he didn't feel like out of place or weird. I mean, he'd done stuff for Funimation previously anyway, so like
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he felt appropriate. He was totally fine. They were doing they had a raffle where they were giving away lots of prizes and things,
and then you won Xenoverse, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah, and it was so funny. What happened was so after they did the raffle ticket stuff, they were doing some trivia questions, and I swear to God, I would bet good money that Justin probably just recognized me from just me being at every like a bunch of conventions he's been to, and just says like, oh, you with the glasses, and I'm like, okay. And the question was, what are the names of the two new Frieza soldiers that have been revealed in the articles and stuff? And it was Sorbet and Tagoma, and I won a copy of Xenoverse on PS4, which I would have loved to have gotten signed. But unfortunately, and I mean, I don't know if they were even sticking around to do that sort of thing in the first place. So after they were done with all the fan appreciation events and the trivia stuff and giving away the prizes and everything, they had like some cosplayers up, and they were talking to a few of the Japanese guests and things about some stuff. When they were calling in, the guests that were announced on the page for when Funimation had the whole big thing about it, the press release, we, with the tickets to go see the movie, we had to get online to go into the theater, so I actually didn't get to see the big deal of Masako Nozawa and Schemmel and Sabat and Yamamuro walking down the red carpet and everything, and then getting to talk with some of the people on the little soundstage that they had. Because I think by that point I was already inside the theater, and I think I was getting water online to get into the theater and everything.
That's a shame. That feels a little mismanaged, because you're the hardest of the hardcore. You bought the tickets within the 2-minute time span that tickets were available, and you unfortunately get shafted from seeing some of these big name people.
At the same time, part of why I don't feel too bad about it, and why I'm not because I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, that wasn't well done, but the trade-off is, there are a lot of people outside that didn't have tickets, and they were just there for the red carpet event to see the cool stuff, and we got to see all of them inside the theater anyway, because they did the Q&A. Because again, I don't even think that they stayed for autographs or did anything. I think they were just there and answered some questions and talked about, oh, we're very excited, the generic kind of Japanese statements that they give for that kind of stuff. So I don't feel like I missed out too much. And I mean, everybody else, I mean, I would not to, I'm gonna look like I'm jerking myself out here, but I know Schemmel, I know Kyle, I know Sabat, so it's but and Masako Nozawa, I wasn't really even expecting to be able to interact with her, because they were probably really being careful with the Japanese guests in general. So I'm not too torn up about it. And me and Ben Diskin, who I went to go see the movie with, we got our nice seats and everything, and it was nice and comfortable and relaxed, and lots of room and everything for being comfy and stuff. But so I was a little sad. I would have liked to have seen whatever questions they answered. This was the part where they were taking in questions from people on Twitter, submitting hashtag DBZ red carpet. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure you'll probably have a note to the video that Josh and Ryan recorded, where they probably have some of the coverage of that stuff anyway. So you could just watch that later.
Yeah, we got a little bit of them outside and saying hi to the camera, that kind of stuff. So it sounds like at this point you're inside.
Yeah, so we were seated, and again, it was nice and comfortable and cool, and they had the front section for some of the cosplayers who were, I believe they were the extra people that got let in to who didn't get tickets originally. So they had Masako Nozawa, Schemmel, Yamamuro, and I think it might have been the president of Toei up there. So Sabat actually wasn't on the little panel that they had in front of the film. He was just in the audience. I guess also just worth noting, if anybody listening was interested, other people who were there, Kyle Hebert, just because, I mean, he lives here, so it was easy for him to show up. Brina Palencia, who has become recently the voice of Chaozu and Poir, occasionally fills in for Vidal when Kara Edwards isn't available. She was there with Sabat. And Christopher Ayres, who was actually the one person I had some time to, after the movie was over, to just speak to and tell him, hey, excellent on Kai. I'd never gotten to meet him before, and I was like, you did an excellent job on Kai, and I'm super excited to hear you get to do this. He's like, yeah, I can't wait to get into doing this. It was awesome, and it was funny because he and his date Crystal were both dressed in purple and gold very appropriately.
Oh, nice.
So they came in super prepared, and it was awesome. And there was an amazing first form Frieza cosplayer who I think was a friend of theirs. that was hanging around, and it was like this like amazing costume with all these like the kind of it's hard to describe, like the Toriyama like ink lines like kind of on their face
nice.
paint.
I think I've seen
they,
some photos.
They looked like a drawing. Yeah, they looked like the drawing. I was like, damn, that is impressive. So
Very nice.
So they had them come up when the movie was about to start. They said a few words about we really worked hard on this, and Masako Nozawa was talking about I don't care if you're if you've got a baby or a grandmother or whoever, everybody needs to see this movie because Goku is everyone's friend, and this is a story and an adventure that everybody and anybody can enjoy. And Shenmue was kind of echoing that sentiment and echoing the sentiment of Yamamuro, who's talking about all the animators that worked super hard to like really make this like an amazing visual spectacle for fans who love the fight scenes and everything. And it was just a nice, cool little introduction, and then, after that, we just jumped straight into seeing the movie itself.
All right, well, let's talk about the movie a little bit, knowing that we're not going to do full-on spoilers here. If you want to hear all the ins and outs of all that kind of stuff, listen to the episode with Julian and I last time. So I guess the first question has to be, we have to acknowledge the internet has been a shitstorm, and it's our fault because we're the ones who put up a synopsis of the movie. And reading a synopsis is not the same as seeing a movie. And would you say that this movie is the best example of reading about it isn't the same as seeing it, or is that too much of a loaded question? And am I guiding you too much? I don't know. Please answer me.
You know what? I actually don't know. I did think about that before, because I tried as much as I could to avoid a lot of them. Like once the movie was out, I tried to avoid anything that we didn't already know from the manga adaptation and any of the press stuff or anything like that.
And it's been tough, hasn't it? Like every video game site doesn't know or care, and why should they? So it's like everything's just out there and retweeted and posted, and it's you can't avoid it. You would have to go away for a month.
Oh, yeah, and you know what? See, okay, a little side note, too. So I was lulled into a false sense of security this week because I said, okay, I'm not even going to risk anything. The movie is out. People know the plot. Even without your guys' synopsis, like 4chan or just fucking somebody would leak the whole plot or whatever, somehow.
Yep.
And I was like, no, I don't even want to risk it. So I thought I'm going to stay off the internet and just focus on working and animating and blah, 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 all the other shit that I do, et cetera. And I found that I didn't have to. And then 2 days before, thanks, Anime News Network, for posting up the scans of the magazine that you were talking about earlier. And I'm like, oh, there it is. Good, great. And I tried to look away as much as I could, and it was everywhere. And all my friends were retweeting it and linking to the article. I'm like, dude, did you see this? And I'm like, So that was a little annoying. And I'll admit, seeing that made me a little pissed off. And I feel like that kind of interfered with the experience a bit. As far as the synopsis goes, I really wouldn't be able to answer that, only because with Battle of Gods, I read your guys' synopsis ahead of time because I thought, okay, it's going to be so long until we get it.
And it did take so long, right?
Yeah, it did, and that's fine. It was what it was. There's nothing that anybody could have done about that necessarily because Fox kind of made it difficult. It is what it is. But but I didn't mind because of that. It's like, okay, I don't mind knowing as opposed to just having it be spoiled. I'd rather at least read a good synopsis by people who I know care about the show and would put effort into this, etc., as opposed to just some site talking about Beerus is a cat and Super Saiyan God and he doesn't win or whatever. So that was fine. But in this case, it's like, okay, it's coming out so soon afterward. I don't want to be spoiled. I don't want to have a big thing out of it. So that said, I did enjoy the movie. I will echo. I listened to your previous episode just to make sure I wasn't repeating too much. I will agree about. I don't remember if Julian said this or if he was quoting it from somebody else or something. I will agree. It does feel like the format of the 13 Toei produced animated movies in terms of And I mean, I guess this isn't really a spoiler. It's just like, an evil enemy appears on Earth and Goku and his friends have to fight against their followers, followed by fighting against them, and they fight and blah, 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 and then surprise,
right, and
Goku
someone's
wins,
losing for a little bit, and then they get new power somehow, and then they overcome the enemy, and everyone's happy at the end, right? It's a Dragon Ball movie. Come on.
Or if not a new power, whatever the newest power from the show at the time that movie came out is, blah, blah. Right. Yeah, so it is that, but I will also echo that it feels very genuine. It feels very authentic in terms of just the characters of the characters. The interactions are great. It's funny as hell. Like this movie was like every time Jocko was on screen, he was genuinely. I love anime. Anime does not generally make me laugh. Just not out of lack of humor, they just have totally different sensibilities of comedic timing and humor, etc. Jocko was cracking my shit up every time he was on screen.
It's the epitome of Toriyama humor that we love. Like, it's got a little bit of the dry sense of humor to it. It's got a little bit of the crude humor to it. It's got a little bit of the like comedy duo side banter style to it. Like, everything is within Jocko. It's just the purest form of Toriyama comedy, and it sounds like that translates to the screen really well.
Yeah, I mean, because in terms of just the visuals, I mean, like the way he was animated and like all the little subtleties they had, and there's this one shot I remember that just like it was so quick, but it was so goddamn funny when the cavalry and him, the team of the good guys and everything fighting against the army, once the, leading up to the big battle with Frieza, again, this is kind of just like obvious stuff. It's not that spoilerific, I guess. When Frieza's like at the forefront, it's like, okay, now it's my turn. Shall we begin? Sort of thing. There's a shot of like, Gohan and everybody like standing firm. And yeah, we're gonna, fight against the bad guy. And Jocko's just like kind of like slowly, like he's doing his battle pose, but he's like slowly like tiptoeing like back away from it with the, yeah, I'm gonna get, I don't know them. I'm not with them, whatever, like that sort of thing. And it's just stuff like that. It's just so genuinely funny. And that's kind of the spirit of it. Is just it's just a fun ride. Like the whole thing, like all the moments were great. People were cheering all the right moments. People cheered for Jocko. I bet you good money. Probably not a lot of people in that room knew who Jocko was, but enough people cheered for him when he came on screen the first time. They were laughing at all the right moments. They were cheering for all of the big crazy stuff. It was a really like enjoyable experience. I would say as a film, it is definitely, to me personally, it's not as good as Battle of Gods. Battle of Gods was, as a movie, regardless of it even being DBZ related, it had a great structure, it had a really good, kind of overall message, it was paced out really well. This is more of like a stereotypical quote-unquote DBZ experience, especially in terms of the non-canon, whatever you want to just, identify that as, the original 13 Toei produced movies. It's more like that, but it's like one of those really, really good, really entertaining, really well done, and just with more Toriyama like authenticity than like ever before.
I mean, everything that I've heard from you and a little bit from Julian as well, has been like, set your expectations here. Like, this is going to be a fun ride. This is Toriyama doing what he wants to do. And think back to the last time Toriyama got to do what he wanted to do, pre-Jocko anyway, was the Majin Buu arc. And what happened there? Well, I'm tired of this form, let's bring out this form. Well, I'm tired of this hero, I don't think he's working out so well, let me bring out this guy. And it's just throwing shit at the wall. What works? What do I think is funny? And all the meanwhile, everyone's talking really snappy and funny to each other. Is that how this movie is? That's what you're making it sound like. And if so, I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's actually, I didn't even think about it in that way, but I think that actually is a pretty good description. It definitely has a lot of that, like, flying by the seat of the pants. It's funny because even with Battle of Gods too, they were talking about how we're treating this as if it were, a continuation of the manga. Right. And there were even some moments where it did feel like, okay, if this was like, another, I don't know, like 20 chapters or whatever of the actual manga, and say like, okay, well, how about, what if this happened next? And then what if, oh, this happened? And then, oh man, whatever, like just completely like, there were moments where like, oh, I didn't expect that. Oh, I was genuinely surprised by that or whatever. And, everything was treated kind of like in that sort of way. Again, it goes back to that sort of feel of authenticity. And, yeah, I mean, the bottom line, I mean, it is like maybe dumbed down as it sounds, but it's accurate. It just comes down to, it was entertaining, it was just, again, all the people were cheering at all the right moments of like, when something badass or cool or great would happen. Everybody was laughing at the right moments when something genuinely funny was going on. The performances were great. The visuals, like
Well, let's talk about that. So tell me about the animation. That was something that Julian said was a big highlight, specifically with all the Earthlings and their fights. Would you agree with that?
100%. I would actually say, little side note too, as Mike was plugging on the last episode, I was doing these Kerblogs, my little vlog YouTube series. And Ben Diskin and I, who went to see the movie with me, he and I recorded as soon as we got back home our reactions to the movie in general. And that one will be coming out on Tuesday the 14th on my YouTube channel. I'm not sure when this episode's going to go up, but so we talked about it, and I said on there, to just kind of echo in here again, that the big fight scene of Earth Special Forces, the Z Fighters, our heroes, versus the Frieza army, that was my favorite part of the movie. And that's not to say that I didn't also enjoy, of course, the big battle with Frieza. That was also fantastic, had great animation, but the battle between the army and our heroes, Gohan and everybody, the choreography was like insane, and like again, everybody got like a cool badass little moment, to do something funny or to do something cool looking, and everybody got to use one of their special moves and stuff. And there were just, again, like kind of like with that the little joke I mentioned about Jocko, like there were just these little touches, these little tiny, like subtle things that would pop around. Julian mentioned in his synopsis, when Android 18 has her quick little scene before Krillin goes off to join the cavalry. He flies off, like, I'm gonna go save the world, and she's just like, oh, so cool. Like, I'm just like, that's amazing. Just that. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know if Julian didn't tell you about this already. I'm incredibly surprised, but probably one of the just goddamn most clever things. And I'm so happy that it's also gonna work perfectly in the English version also, and everybody cheered at this. So Krillin is arresting
don't spoil it. I know what it is.
Okay. I'll just say Krillin's ringtone is hilarious. Yes. That's all I'll say. When you see it, you will, if you get it, and it's hilarious.
It's wonderful.
It's so good. And everybody loved it too.
So we were talking about the animation. I did want to cycle back to the music as well. We have yet another score from Norihito Sumitomo, who debuted with Battle of Gods, went on to do the Majin Buu Arc of Kai with about $2 to his name, and now we're back over here with a theatrical score and some money and some people helping him out. How would you say it compares to Battle of Gods, and how's it compared to like the grander world of Dragon Ball music?
I would say it was about the same sort of like deal as Battle of Gods. It was like, okay, this is fitting. It's not like anything to like write home about necessarily or whatever, but it worked for the atmosphere. There wasn't anything like inappropriate or out of place or anything like that. It certainly didn't have the same kind of, I don't know. Nothing really has the same kind of, like, I remember these melodies like with Kikuchi's music, etc. But it was fine. I guess it was just like not a major highlight. More of the musical highlight was the use of like, obviously, F, which I think both of the places that they used it worked totally well for it as well.
Gotcha.
And I was kind of hoping everybody in the theater would do the Frieza thing, but I don't think too many people were familiar with the song necessarily, so they didn't all do that.
Yeah, you're a couple levels of fandom deep when you get to that.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, maybe just because like it was in the trailer, and I thought, maybe people would look it up. Actually, kind of interestingly enough, too, this kind of goes into the animation bit, but this has to do with the music specifically. I'm sure people who do know the song, they've probably seen the I guess would you call it an AMV or a MAD or whatever you want to describe that
MAD
video as?
Generally refers to Japanese music videos more with motion graphics than with straight up editing, but it's just Japanese anime music video, sure.
Okay, yeah. So either way, folks have probably seen that video that's like, it kind of summarizes the big battle with Frieza.
It's got some manga scans. Yeah, it's like the one most popular one, the first one that got made.
Exactly. Yeah. So people have probably seen that. I don't want to say that they like necessarily took influence from that, but they did some similar sort of things as I was hoping they would be, where like they would sync like shots and things happening. There were obviously, the lyrics are not necessarily lining up with, what's happening on screen, because they're talking about things that happened like in the Namekian, and Frieza general sort of storyline with characters that aren't, alive anymore. People like Zarbon and Raditz and Dodoria, etc.
Right.
But, I remember the part that's kind of like the build up just before the chorus, where it's like, dark side. That whole bit is like everybody in the spaceship, like it's rumbling because like he's coming out, and all the scouters are cracking, and like, oh man, he's coming, and then the chorus was the healing tank breaking open, and the dramatic shots of him like stepping on the thing, and then the Roy, da, 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 da. He's there, and then they go right back into talking again. So that was really effective for because I love that sort of stuff. I try to do some stuff like that myself with
just like timing and tone and mood and atmosphere. Yeah,
it's almost like a little music video-esque thing, like in the middle of the movie, which I think those kind of moments, and especially in animated films, can be really cool. The second use of it was didn't quite have as much of the same kind of sync stuff, but like it did fit the because that was kind of like. Not the climax, but like really in the midst of the big battle with Frieza, we're like, okay, yeah, we're really like, this is like super intense. We're like at our max and doing everything we can with this and everything. And I do want to say real quick, sorry to keep looping back to the animation. Something I actually did disagree with on Julian, and I guess you'll probably have to judge for yourself when you see it. So I understood a lot of people were kind of like, about the CG in Battle of Gods, and it did look a little weird, but it wasn't so obnoxious. Interestingly enough, there was actually a lot more CG in this, but it didn't feel out of place, and the reason it didn't is because they use this kind of, I'm going to try to be as ungeeky with the animation terms as possible. Basically, for, say when like the camera would be like, rotate, like these really like epic shots of like, circling 360 degrees around them as they're like doing the super, quick punching and everything. And then there'd be like a punch to the face where something like Goku or Frieza would punch each other or whatever and be like, like pushing up against their face or whatever. When it would settle on that pose, it would go back to 2D. So I think they might have even like traced over the 3D models and like made them into frames or something like that, just to like kind of better, because the choreography was much more like in depth and detailed than I would say maybe even any fight scene that's ever been in like the show itself, or maybe even the other movies for all I can remember. It was just like very, very specific, and which I liked because Whis, I mean, it's not spoiled that Whis and Beerus are in the movie, but Whis
they're on the poster. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Whis talks about specific things relating to martial arts, which I appreciated to kind of cement the fact that he is a master of the art of fighting in that way, in the whole universe for all we know. And the fact that they, not only carried that, but they kind of like really made good use of that in all of the different fights, even with just like, here's a ki blast and here's this and that or whatever. Like, it was just very creative, inventive, like varied use with everything that was happening with it. And I liked it a lot. It was never like, I think the only time that it was ever maybe like, getting a little too long was like the overall Frieza fight. There were a couple points I'm like, all right, what next? We get it.
Yeah, Julian.
But even then, yeah, but it wasn't like, I'm getting bored with this or I'm falling asleep or whatever. It was all still like engaging for the most part. So,
all right, well, I want to talk characters, and I hate to keep comparing it to Julian's review, but that's what I have to go off of, and I want to do it spoiler free over here. So I kind of want to recap some of the same stuff. Julian really talked about the interaction between the characters and the vocal performances really carrying the movie. I want to get your take on that.
Sure, I would agree. I think. They're always fantastic, but Ryusei Nakao he was probably having a goddamn field day with this movie of just how all over the place Frieza got to be. There's a particular moment, where just Frieza has to be like, I won't spoil what it is because it's actually a pretty cool part, but just basically he gets to be just like really dramatic, really like screaming, like, kind of intense kind of stuff that I maybe even might have been more intense than when Frieza has his big breakdown in the show when he's just like, no, like I can't accept it. Goku's just kind of like, yeah, no, I'm done. That I loved, and Masako Nozawa and Ryo Horikawa, I mean, the two of them were doing a great job of like cracking me up and and being really just badass with some of their like more cooler moments throughout the movie. And I can tell they went a little more balls to the walls with the screaming and fight noises compared to like when they're doing DBZ Kai, where like, I mean, you can tell that
people are maybe phoning it in a little bit. Even Nakao and Kai. I always have this one comparison I think I keep as an MP3 uploaded somewhere of Nakao's performance in, I think it's DBZ 95. Or maybe it's 94. No, I'm pretty sure it's 95, where he really lets it loose and his voice cracks a little bit. And then the Kai performance of the same thing is just more a straight haughty delivery of the line without any like real emotion behind it. So I kind of felt like Nakao, I mean, I didn't really watch the entirety of Kai, even in Japanese. I mean, just spot checking it felt like a little toned down. From the sounds of it, that's not the case here in the movie, where they like went for it and they nailed what they went for.
Oh yeah, no, there were some really intense moments with really everybody. Gohan and the crew also got some cool stuff as well. The special guests, I gotta say, I actually really liked, is it Shiro Sato, I believe his name is, who did, Sorbet? He was, definitely a very different kind of voice that I was expecting. I was kind of picturing something a little more like Bobbity, I guess, just because of the character design, but, he was quite low and was like sort of down here with his general kind of thing. And Kazuya Nakai was also much higher. He actually kind of sounded like Frieza at times. I didn't realize how similar Kazuya Nakai and Ryusei Nakao can actually sound similar to each other. It was a little strange. And tell me, who do you know offhandedly? Who is the voice of Jocko?
Natsuki Hanae, who's apparently like someone who's in a bunch of stuff lately.
Okay, I'm not familiar with his other work, but
oh my god, born 1991. These kids are voice acting.
Wait, oh really? Oh wow, that's really bizarre. Okay, well he was really good.
Yeah.
He was. He reminds me of an actor that I've worked with, this guy Edwin Tiong. If any of you guys are familiar with my animation, you've heard him in like everything I've ever worked on, but he has this sort of like, yes, haha, I am a super elite, I am sort of Asian-esque even though I'm an alien, yes, haha, sort of thing. And then it was really cute, and like it made his like comedic delivery just hilarious. Like he was definitely a big highlight. Like he really helped accentuate the jokes with him and everything.
I guess I can say people pointed out to me that they've just extracting from some of the Xenoverse DLC data, which is a great way to learn about things ahead of time. Is his name? Forgive me, I don't know dub voice actors. Is it Hackerborn? Is that the name of the dude?
Todd Haberkorn. He's recently taken over as thank God, by the way, for mainly because they changed the voice in general. He's now Android 19 in most of the video games and Kai and everything. Gotcha. And he was also Tarble in one of the video games. I can say, as a person who was totally jealous because I would have loved a shot at auditioning for Jocko, Todd is pretty much the perfect vocal equivalent and actor equivalent for Jocko. So that character, I can say, already is in good hands if they'll be keeping him, which I'm sure they probably will be keeping him for the movie.
I have to imagine. I mean, similar to Battle of Gods, I mean, they had to cast Beerus and Weiss for a video game before they had to cast him for the movie. And I'm pretty sure we talked about this with Sabbath with our brief little interview leading up to the Battle of Gods dub premiere. They know that if someone's in a video game and they're going to be in a movie, like it's someone they need to use long term. So it's got to be someone that's reliable, but also really good at establishing a new character in English. We got to do it right from the start. So yeah, I've got full faith that it's probably going to be great in English.
Oh, completely. Yeah. And I've heard just a little bit of his performance, and he sounds like he's already got a good handle on him. I'm very curious about what kind of direction who they might go with for Sorbet and
Tagoma.
And Tagoma as well. What was interesting, kind of on the same note with Xenoverse, because there's so many like really amazing actors that have come into like the main fold of people at Funny over the last like even just like the last couple of years, honestly, that have probably been chomping at the bit to do like a new like actual named character in a Dragon Ball production. We finally completed. I think we have all of the Straw Hat actors now in the DBZ universe. Stephanie Young, who does Robin on the Funimation's One Piece dub. She got to be Toa. J. Michael Tatum, who recently took over for Zarbon, was Mira, and then Josh Greeley was Demigra. So I'm really curious about like, who's going to get brought into the fold, or for these two guys.
They'll at least show up in more video games. Maybe we'll get an animated feature at some point. Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
So where else do we want to go with this? I mean, I feel like we've done a pretty good job of sticking with, like you said, even on your own videos that you're doing on your YouTube channel. What do we already know going into it without going into future spoilers? I think we've stuck pretty close to that. I'm hoping people are pretty okay with everything we've talked about. Is there anything else about the movie? I mean, we've talked about animation, we talked about music, we talked about voices, we talked about the tone, it being a fun ride comparison to previous movies. How would you wrap up your initial thoughts on seeing the movie for the first time subtitled ahead of its wide Japanese release? Even
I would say, I guess I could understand the lower your expectations sort of thing. I personally wouldn't even think it's a matter of that. I think it's more, it's a more stereotypical, I put big quotation marks on that, DBZ kind of experience. Because again, I just felt the Battle of Gods was like, as a movie, is just a really good movie. This is also a good Dragon Ball Z movie. I would still absolutely, even though I liked Battle of Gods more, I would absolutely still recommend this to any DBZ fan, because it is absolutely enjoyable. And especially if you're just into the series in general and you know these characters really well and you want to see another little fun adventure with some cool battles and stuff, like it's just an enjoyable ride. Like it's definitely like worth seeing. I would say anybody should go check it out. I'm being like totally blunt about that. I'm not like, man, no, this movie wasn't really that good. They could have done better. I'll just wait for the next one. It's like, no, like it is definitely worth seeing for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, we had Battle of Gods. You want an expanding universe with new characters? Well, that's at the stage. You've got Revival of F over here. That's going to be like another fun brawl of a movie. Great. Maybe we'll get something that ties them together. Maybe we'll get something that's this other third pillar of Dragon Ball entirely. Maybe we won't get anything else ever again. We don't know. But I think it's okay for them to be different things. And the fact that Toriyama's here and other staff are here, everyone's all together, that alone makes me happy. And I think that's what Toriyama would really want. I mean, everything we've heard from him has been like, try not to think too hard about it, please.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, okay, on that note, here, I am going to spoil something because it's not a big fucking deal and it shouldn't be. Gohan goes Super Saiyan in the movie. He just goes Super Saiyan, whatever. There's a line about, oh, I haven't been training in a really long time, but I think I can still go Super Saiyan. It's literally as cut and dry as that, so everybody shut the fuck up, please. Christ's sake, it's not a bit. If that's really what it is, if that's what you're thinking, okay, you know what? And I'll even I say this too, without dipping too far into it. The new forms in general, whatever you know about them, yes, they're whatever. It's not important. It's not a big deal.
That's not what's important about this movie, is what you're saying. Like, that's not what you need to go in.
No, it's really not. Okay, yeah, if you want to be really pessimistic, it's like, oh, logically, whoa, that doesn't make any sense or whatever. And even like stepping outside of the universe of the show, they're probably just there to be like, here's more DLC for the video games. Here's more toys for this character and this character or whatever. That's probably really why that's a thing in there in the first place.
So you are saying go into it being cynical.
No, I don't think you should be cynical. I'm saying that, like, that's not okay. If that's what you enjoy Dragon Ball for, then you know what? Yeah, I'll say that. Then maybe you won't even enjoy the movie inherently. But you know what? Like, if all you care about is well, Gohan, if you're still on the train of Gohan will blow up the planet if you go Super Saiyan, then it's like, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, that's not what Dragon Ball in general is supposed to be about. I just feel like that's a whole nother even thing, and I don't want to rant too long about that. But no, I don't think it is a matter of like pessimism. I'm saying that like it's not a big deal. It's just like those things are in there to be like, this is a cool moment where, you know, this happens with this character, and it's like, okay, and now we're going to continue on, and we're going to do the thing, and we're going to have a battle, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be entertaining and fun. You just like enjoy the ride. It's like that.
If you go back to the manga, that's really what a lot of it was. Like, I did this because this was a cool moment for this character. And oh, whoops, only 8 months passed between the first wish and the second wish. Like, that early in the series is already continuity errors. So if you can get past that, you can get past anything.
Sure, yeah, and you know what? And look, I'm about as hardcore as anybody on the site or whatever, and I understand there are some frustrations because I did have some other like, from a filmmaking perspective, there were other things like morally and like, you know, and maybe writing wise and pacing wise or whatever that I would have done differently, like in terms of making it a better movie, but that also doesn't make the movie bad at all, and it certainly did not make it unentertaining. Like, you know, it's certainly not perfect, but I think that the transformations and those new things are not a weakness of the movie. They're part of what it is. I would even say it comes back to that, as you just pointed out perfectly about the continuity errors that have been there since the goddamn beginning. You know, it's just, that's more stereotypical Dragon Ball. It's perfectly consistent with the rest of what...
It wouldn't be Dragon Ball without errors. All right.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, no, what warts and all, but it's still, it was really good. And the energy in that room was showing, like, people liked this. And, you know, and I guess also to kind of wrap it up too, as we wanted to talk briefly about after the movie was over, there was supposed to be a Q&A, but unfortunately because we ran a tiny little bit late, there wasn't a whole lot of time. So they only had time to answer, one question, and somebody asked, thank God it was a good question. They asked to Masako Nozawa and Sean Schemmel, what is it about Goku that you guys think makes him such an iconic character? You know, Masako Nozawa simply said, Goku is everybody's friend. And Schemmel was saying, yeah, I echo that. And, you know, he's pure of heart, and he's, you know, for all his flaws as a person, he's still an iconic, like, memorable, good person that, you know, does all this stuff and et cetera. And yeah, he's everybody's friend and et cetera. And he's, and it was a nice, like, positive note to end everything on, I would say. You know, and then of course, just like the Japanese representatives and staff folks, you know, gave the shout outs to the animation team and they thanked everybody for coming to see it and they hope that they enjoyed it. I was really hoping I could get the chance to ask, this movie was so great, may we have another, please? Yeah. just to get any sort of, like, you know, because I mean, I remember, I think when you met Masako Nozawa at one of the conventions, I think, wasn't she hinting to you, like,
oh, that was Jake at the Hawaiian convention. Yeah, it was one of those,
oh,
like,
that's right,
am I allowed to say something? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping to at least maybe get some kind of, like, those, you know, yeah, but I mean, I'm pretty confident, like, we'll probably get some more stuff at some point, you know. But yeah, you know what? And not to say, oh no, the next one will be better. And, you know, maybe it might be, but that certainly doesn't invalidate this one. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't go see it, especially if you love the franchise. It is absolutely worth your time. And, you know, if nothing else, you'll definitely get a few laughs and a few, jaw-dropping moments of, like, whoa, you know, and you'll feel like you're 10 again. There's a 9-year-old born every day.
And now they're 10. Well, It sounds like from the couple people we've had see the movie, if you go into it looking to have a good time, you're going to come out of it having a good time. And I think that's what we all want to do with Dragon Ball. So let's bring it to a close. You had a good note to end the experience there. Let's use that same note to end our experience here. Chris, it's been a pleasure having you. I'm pretty sure last time on the show, I said youtube.com/Kirbopher. I believe it's Kirbopher15 is the YouTube channel, right?
Yes, unfortunately, because I...
You didn't get there.
No, well, it's 15 was an age, not at the time that I made the channel, but I think it was taken up and, you know, whatever. But no, I appreciate that nonetheless. Yeah, if you guys want to go check out, Mike was talking about it briefly, I did a 7-episode, kind of more than that because I had some 2-parters or whatever, interviews with talking with different people and talking about different aspects of the franchise leading up to the movie. The final one of those, which is Ben Diskin and I talking about, are also just more of our specific kind of general reactions to the movie, will be going up on Tuesday the 14th. And I'm sure I'll probably do more of them in the future. Maybe I'll have Mike on more of them again because people really liked the one that you did with me.
I'm glad to hear that.
Very well. Yeah, for sure. And also I want to give some shout out thanks on this podcast while I have a moment to thank Mike for the technical help on several episodes because I don't even have Windows Movie Maker. I have a program that I put a Flash file into with audio in it and export it, and it only allows me to export videos that are up to about 22 minutes long. So Mike was very gracious on 2 videos the past week or so to export those for me and have them uploaded for you. So thank you, Mike, for helping me out with that.
How the hell do you make professional things? Like, I don't understand. How do you...
I know. It's so... I literally don't even, like, know how to use or own, the most basic video editing program in the goddamn world. I need to just get a copy of, like, Premiere or something and just, like, press a couple buttons and do a thing or whatever, learn something from you or Scott or whatever, you know?
You know what? I'm okay with Mike, do the thing, and then you get the thing. And it's all right sometimes. Although, I gotta say, I listened to the episode, you and our buddy Scott Kaiser Neko. You ended up doing the same thing with him that you did with me, which was, say we're going to talk about Dragon Ball and end up talking about comparing the English dub and the Japanese version for an hour. How do you get that out of us?
I don't know. Well, it's because Scott and I have very, very extensive knowledge about how a lot of that stuff works because we've done a lot of voiceover work now, and now we've both gotten to know a lot of the people that worked on the show and everything. And there's just so much like to dissect. I mean, I did 3 of those Did You Know voice acting videos about it, and I have enough material to write 2 more of them.
I'm
sorry, I haven't updated that in a while. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's interesting. It's not out of like, oh, because it sucks. It's just because it's like fun to dissect some of that stuff for sure.
About. Yeah, so if you're enjoying listening to Chris, you want to hear more Chris, you want to hear more of other friends that we've even had on this show, go check it out. There's a couple hours worth of more material.
I actually have a whole playlist now of all of the Dragon Ball Z related Curb blogs that I've done, including the ones that were before this series too, so if you want to go check those out. One last thing I want to say, by the way. I was recently catching up with a very old acquaintance of yours and Mary, Mike, Eric Vale.
Oh, no kidding.
Because he actually didn't even know that the movie was happening, and I told him, Trunks has got a little bit in there. He said, oh, good, because I was sad about not getting to join the fun on Battle of Gods. And then I joked about like, I hope the next movie is, I was tweeting about this jokingly, but now I actually think I really mean it. I want the next movie to be Goten and Trunks, because, time is passing. I want them to be 13. Partially because I think it would be good for Eric to be able to take over on Little Kid Trunks for the teenage version, which would be fun as hell. About Goten and Trunks going through puberty.
That would be fun.
Possibly Goten finding out that he likes girls because he ends up being a playa when he grows up to a teenager.
Right.
And Trunks is the one who already has a girlfriend in the form of Mai. So I am totally serious. I want that as the next movie. Toei, make it happen. God damn it.
All right. So you got more Chris listenings if you want them. You heard all about what you can check out there. So check out those, watch Tome, all that good stuff. I have been Mike VegettoEX. We will join you again in the future for the next episode of the show, which shall be 380 whenever that episode happens to be. www.kanzenshuu.com. That is the address of the website. That is the website that is being broadcast into your ears right now. We get all the news, we get all the articles, we get all the interview translations, we get all the guides, we got more wiki work going on. There's stuff behind the scenes, lots of things coming your way. It's been a pleasure. Chris, you have a last word. I'm afraid to give it to you, but wrap up the show.
Thanks for listening to Kanzenshuu, the podcast. And I love you all. Really, I do. Choose love, not hate. Goku is everyone's friend, even yours. No matter how horrible of a person you are, he's always there for you.
Goku is your savior.
Thank you for joining, everybody. Mike, thank you for letting me join you. And we'll see you next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Get off my shit.
Back, and my head's got a sack. When you sit my very head cool, then feel my power level.
We can change history, stop his hunting countries, justice in the seven balls, romance, gimme.
Your planet turned to ash, these insects will be smashed. Scouts are broke and crashed, now I'll show you my true power. My transformation, no admiration. Shake the land apart, it wounds apart. Bada goes your heart. Welcome to my dark side. Frieza. Lord of the galaxy, killing all the parasites. Frieza. When last suffering and died.
All right. Lovely. Stop and save.